My assessment would be it probably makes something fun and lighthearted, like a dish is about to fall. Okay, I was wrong. There is a new version of Qwen Image released for the December update, dubbed Qwen Image-2512. Now, it's interesting that this did get released on the last day of the year, but I suppose this still would be a December update. Regardless of that, I did enable channel memberships. They're $2.99 a month, so for less than 10 cents a day in most months, you can help support a YouTuber like me. All right. With that out of the way, let's just take a quick look at this. Now, regrettably, I'm unable to run this locally currently with any of my free devices, but keep in mind that this is open source and something that can be downloaded and run locally. More specifically, for folks interested in this who maybe have 24 gig cards or even less, you're going to want to go here into the quantization section and look at the unsloth specific quants, because as you can see right here, you can hypothetically run this on some pretty resource constrained hardware if you do use one of the aggressive quantization, so I do want to make specific mention of this for those who are interested in running this locally. Now with that, let's take a quick peek at what's new with this update. Now we can see a few main things that are touted as improvements here, specifically enhanced, that is just a typo right there, enhanced human realism. So hypothetically, it significantly reduces the quote-unquote AI generated look of humans in photos. There is better natural detail and improving text realism, which is kind of interesting because it's just always cool, and that is historically an area where these image models have struggled, is with rendering text in a legible manner, so it should be kind of cool to see. Now what we see right here is something that I do very much like, because I refer to this as clickbait justification, where based on this chart we can see that this is the highest rated open source image generation model. Therefore I do believe saying, is this the best open source image generation model, is acceptable in the title, which I will do. Now if we scroll down a little more, we're actually going to see some examples of some of the improvements of this model, and I do have to say some of these are almost somewhat concerning, because yes, this image on the left right here, especially for folks like anyone watching this who's pretty seasoned at this point at identifying AI generated images, this would be like, yeah, that's AI. The one on the right here is significantly more real, and that is, make of that what you will. They have another example of that right here, which pretty much has the same exact result, even coming down to the artifacts behind the specific individual. So these posters on the wall here look like something from some sort of anime convention or some other nerd event. But additionally to that, if we scroll down, we have some more examples. And what I do like to see here is some of these prompts we may be able to recycle for our testing. So I don't see anything that is definitive proof that this is testing the new Qwen image model when I click on the hyperlink here, especially because it just shows Qwen 3 Max, and then it has this image edit capability right here. So there are two ways to go around this. I could just access it directly through their API and then put a wrapper around that, or I could just run something on RunPod that has a sufficient amount of VRAM to run the full unquantized model, which is what we're going to be doing for the duration of this test, just to ensure that we actually get the newest model. Alright, fortunately we now have this running on our own little pod instance, so we can go ahead and play with it. You can see that I did send an initial test prompt just to make sure everything was working. I did have to do a bit of troubleshooting, and the gibberish that I typed in produced this result. So I don't specifically know what to make of that, but it is generating images at 1328 by 1328, which we see here is the 1:1 aspect ratio, and beyond that it takes around 36 seconds, so I don't know what speed to expect from this card. Regardless of that, if you do watch my channel, thank you, and you know exactly what is coming up now. So we will of course do the Agent Poopman movie poster generation, as this is always a favorite of mine and hopefully others. Okay, I suppose they say garbage in, garbage out, meaning the prompt is lackluster. It's not bad at all. It's just not necessarily what I would have expected for a movie poster, where it's really just it just looks like a portrait photo of a businessman, and then they've slapped Agent Poopman over it. I will say that the text is well done. The font, everything looks good. It does lend itself to being more legible, and I suppose this is a less AI-generated looking human. There is some asymmetry to the face, so overall, not the best, but again, this could benefit perhaps from prompt improvements. Let's just go ahead and directly test how big of an improvement an improved prompt will give for this image generation. So this is essentially the same task, which is where it should just be generating the Agent Poopman movie poster, but we've added in a bunch of detailed elements, such as a high-budget cinematic movie poster. We've given it a bit more information in terms of the title, so it is now Agent Poopman flushed twice, and we'll see how this affects the generated result. That is much better. Now, Now, I do notice that a lot of these put two toilets in the same bathroom without any divider between the two, which is questionable. We do have the golden plunger. This kind of font here is definitely what you would think of when you think of a high-budget cinematic action movie. It's got that, like, metallicness to it, if you will. There's some sparks and other elements, and then, of course, our Agent Poop Man right here is in a tuxedo. This definitely does look more like an AI-generated person, though. I suppose if we're still counting fingers these days, they are all there. And overall, there's a nice teal effect to this bathroom, aside from the toilets facing one another, which is interesting. This is overall, I don't know what to say. Next up, I'd like to try another favorite of mine, which is the retro LAN party photo. So this is basically just supposed to be giving us a LAN party from 1998 taken with flash photography, showing things that would be specifically there in that year. That's well done. There's a few things I notice immediately here, being that I've tested this prompt a bunch of times. I think probably, okay, never mind, as I look more, it kind of starts to go away. But my initial thing that I picked up on was the way the wires are all messy and down here. This is actually fairly realistic looking in terms of this mess of wires. And I noticed this one going down the pizza box here. There's like specific detail to this wire. And of course we do have a full pizza box, but then the wires just kind of going into the sides of the monitors does ruin immersion a bit. We do have a basement looking basement because there's, you know, the flooring, the cinder blocks on the wall. There's a bunch of retro looking computers, and we have some individuals here, and I don't see any egregious kind of morphing of any of these humans or computers. Overall, this does look flash photography taken, being that the lighting reflecting off part of the ceiling here does look what you would see with a flash camera. And overall, not horrible. Not horrible at all. We have some cans and things of the sort here. It chose a very interesting perspective to take this photo from. So I have just entered my name into the prompt right here without anything else, and I'm very interested to see what this does end up generating. I may come to regret that. Holy crap! No, it didn't. It just did this. So, all right, well, I don't know what I expected when I did that, so we can now move on. Something I want to do, and this again, these videos usually quickly descend into chaos, but you know, I enjoy that. I want to take some of the sample prompts that they've used right here and perhaps modify them a slight bit to make them more entertaining. Okay, so instead of elderly Chinese couple, let's just do an elderly obese couple, all right? And a clean, organized home kitchen. That doesn't quite fit the obesity. The woman has a kind face and bandana. Is that how you spell bandana? It doesn't matter. Wearing a tattoo sleeve. Also smiling as they both gaze at a steaming pot of French fries. Okay, I think that the adjustments to this prompt will perhaps produce something that is entertaining. Yep, this genuinely, that nailed my vision. I don't know what you may have been anticipating when you saw some of these prompt adjustments, but this is like a carbon copy of what I had envisioned in my mind. I'm gonna say, let's for a second let's put the fact that this is hilarious aside. The tattoos are really well done. The bandana, although I don't think I spelled it right, is also well done. This is an elderly couple in a disgusting kitchen, staring over a pot of French fries. They've even gone so far as to begin serving some here as well. The French fries themselves don't actually look so bad, but notice the fact that even the pot they're in has that disgust ascribed to it with the like grease or rust or oil stains on it, whatever you'd like to call those. There are like family photos on the fridge, and that's just well done. That really is, and it has captured like what happens to elderly people's hands in terms of like the skin when it, you know, you've all seen it most likely. That's pretty good. I want to use another one of these. Yeah, we'll modify this one. All right, so we've modified this nice college student selfie. Okay, not as chaotic as I thought. This is actually a decent test of its ability to do a good job. This does not really look very AI generated, at least if we focus only on the person. I did say that the dorm room should have a sort of trap house aesthetic with some speakers and a bunch of empty bottles. It did properly adhere to that. I think most notably is kind of the lighting. It did do a good job in keeping the described lighting here, as well as this. This does not look very AI generated, at least if we focus only on this person. So that's actually kind of an impressive demonstration. Sadly, not as funny as I'd anticipated, but it's actually a good demonstration of the model's capabilities. Now I just want to try giving it a digital infographic prompt, which has a lot of text and will test its ability to do digital infographics. That is well done. The Great Ice Barrier, No Passage, Here Be Dragons and Void, Official Navigation Map with Flat Earth Disk, 2024 edition, and it did a nice job drawing everything. I do believe there may be some hallucinated countries here. Don't quote me on that. Actually, I might be wrong. Don't at all quote me on that, because maybe not. Regardless, it did a good job. None of the text here is mangled in any way, and this is a decently done infographic. I find it interesting the way that the actual kind of like globe-like curvature that you would see on a globe is coming out the top here. That's just a nice touch to see. So overall, this did well and was more of a test of its ability to legibly render text. Seconds before disaster. This could... My spelling is a disaster right now. This could definitely be thought of in a number of different ways, so I am just curious to see where the model takes this. My assessment would be it probably makes something fun and lighthearted, like a dish is about to fall, or like a car accident, or that's not lighthearted. I don't know. We'll see what it does. Okay, I was wrong. I will admit. I was mistaken. Okay. That also, temporally, I do believe there's perhaps a continuity error here. That would not be before. I think that would be after, but okay, let's just, yeah, well, all right. Let's do another movie poster. So this time it's going to be a high-intensity action thriller titled I Have Come to Purchase a GPU. There's a bunch of other additional detail in here, but really that's the whole prompt. Well done. I've come to purchase a GPU. That is quite a large GPU, so probably the 6 or 7000 series from NVIDIA. The city's on fire, but there is a neon-lit rain aesthetic to this. We do have our protagonist in tactical gear holding his GPU, which he did apparently get. So overall, kind of, you know, like generic, but two robots. I'm going to get creative now with the prompting, we'll see. All right, so basically this is more describing a scene than a specific image, but there's two robots, one of them bumped into the other one and said something insulting, so essentially they're about to get into a fight. I can't... Why did it put the one thing in this prompt that I cannot show on camera as the freaking thought bubble with the text here? So really, all we need to know is that the text I placed in quotations here, that the insulting word that was, it wrote it in the image. That is, overall, like the cartoon style and stuff. I didn't denote any stylistic elements, so this could have made these things look real, could have made them look cartoonish. It went for a cartoon. I'm saving this image. For some reason, my computer froze up right as I was writing a more exotic prompt. I swear, I just had to restart the entire thing. I do believe that was perhaps the universe telling me not to do that, so I've just started out with a simpler prompt again here to make sure everything is working fine. This says, Stevie Slappis is here to buy a car, said the salesman. Oh no, he's going to try to buy that bright green Dodge Neon. Let's tell him it's sold, ha ha ha. I did find with the previous robot image, it seemed to be entertaining or interesting when you just kind of depicted a scene and then had it generate the image. So I find it interesting. So it takes the text when we say like something has been said and puts it in the image, which is kind of cool. This car honestly is pretty good. That's not at all a Dodge Neon, but it did a nice job here. Stevie Slappis. Oh no, he's going to try to buy that Dodge Neat. Let's tell him it's sold. Ha ha ha. Not the best text rendering example here, but this individual with this, now that I look at it, very small car is definitely interesting. We also have the table lamp. Wow. I don't really know what to make of this image. All right, let's just do another one of these weird, like, descriptive prompts. Standing in line at the Microcenter, realizing you've left your wallet at home, but you are in no way going to be leaving the store without the 5090 you came to get. This in no way relates to my prompt, aside from the fact that it's plausibly a Microcenter because of all the computer hardware on the shelf. Playing board games with the family, winning massively, and Grandpa seems to be getting very angry as he does not take kindly to losing. That is pretty good. Kind of an accurate description of the image. Now let's try a more detailed prompt in the form of a screenshot from 2007 Runescape of two players PKing in the wilderness. Okay, it kind of stuck more to the descriptive detail of the prompt, such as rune armor being bulky, bright blue medieval plate armor, and perhaps less RuneScape-like. This is not very RuneScape-like at all, but I suppose that this was an artistic depiction of the prompt. I'm just going to say typical 4chan post, and we'll see what it generates. Okay, that's not... I mean, there's some, like... Not quite. Not quite. So we'll try a photo of basically like a minor car crash where in the photo both drivers' expressions are also visible, having realized what happened. Okay, no, not at all. That's not like, there's no rear ending there. That would be a side swipe. I mean, it's interesting to actually see the reflection of the person there, but that's just not it. All right, so I had ChatGPT tell me what this was, and basically it's just an infographic of like a day in a person's life with specific things they do during the day. So I've had it regenerated in the same style, but instead of like a healthy lifestyle day, it is just a nerd lifestyle day with a bunch of unhealthy things such as caffeine, energy drink consumption, playing games, and things of the sort. So we want to see if we get that same form of infographic with proper text rendering right here. So basically this prompt is, we're asking for this, but instead of this woman doing like a bunch of healthy normie things, it's going to be a nerd doing a bunch of nerd-like things. Okay, that's actually, that's pretty good. I do want to go through this. 6:30, groggy wake up after late night gaming. 6:30, okay, first energy drink of the day. 7:30, junk food breakfast, and we have the individual with some IDE open, as well as a bunch of junk food. 8, caffeine reload. 9, hardcore PC time. We do have a vertical monitor on the side there as well, just with more IDEs open. 12:02, interesting. Lore and wiki deep dive. That does work, and he now has headphones on. 12:30, indoor break. I'm not quite sure what that would be. Okay, 1500, debugging fueled by sugar. 1800, online gaming session. 1900, microwave dinner, with the steam coming up of the freshly microwave food, so that's cool. 2101, endless scroll and forums. Oh, forms is what it, okay. Overall, this did a good job. I mean, this is basically like having it generate this many different images, and the fact that it did it at the same time with text and annotations and things, not bad. Not necessarily perhaps as good as this specific example that I did not mean to just download but did, so at least we can maybe look at it more clearly. Okay. Actually, you know, they're two sides of the same coin, one could say. All right, with that, that is going to conclude our first look and testing of Qwen Image-2512. This is, as I said, very clickbait worthy because based on this Arena benchmark, this is the top open source image generation model, and that is kind of cool. So really, I did have to go ahead and just rent a run pod to actually run this because I wasn't 100% sure that it would be used here. It very likely is, but I didn't see anything that specifically showed me it was Qwen Image-2512, and I want to just make sure I do some form of due diligence when actually testing these models on video. So that was a proper test of Qwen Image-2512. Overall, it's cool. It's always fun testing image generation. It's really, I kind of enjoy testing any model, so make of that what you will. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments once you've subscribed and joined as a channel member. And thanks for watching.